welcome to the Rabbit Hedgehog Motorcycle Review channel and Indian Motorcycle of Oklahoma City. And today I want to take out the 2025 Indian Pursuit 112 Dark Horse. This particular motorcycle is part of the Indian demo event that we have going on November 7th and 8th of 2025. If you're watching this in time, be sure to stop by tomorrow, because I'll probably post this tonight, so that means that we will have this here tomorrow from 10 to 4 as well, and that way you can test ride back to back all of the 2025 Indy motorcycles. And when it comes to the Pursuit, I took one of the 108s out a little bit earlier. One of the first times I actually took a Pursuit out, so this time we're going to go to the uprated engine. And of course we do have the power band audio on there. And another thing about having the 112 is that it does have the rider aid system on there. That little radar down there goes through and does all the cool stuff like the blind spot monitoring, tailgate mitigation. And if somebody's coming up at you, flashes these lights all around to try to get their attention before something bad happens. So pretty cool technology, but it also has linked braking. It also has hill hold assist as well. So that is all part of the 2025 Pursuits with the 112 engine on them. Standard equipment as well. You do have your heated seats, heated grips. One thing for 2025, just note that they don't have the button down here anymore that they used to control heated grips. It is all through ride command. Same with the fog lamps. They're there, but you just don't have that particular setup anymore, where it has the fog lamp button there. Those are haptic feedback, so you can touch them and it will vibrate, tell you what they're doing. And if you press in the middle, it shuts them off, all that good stuff there. You still do have your lock down here for your saddlebags, so your lock and unlock and your gas are all down there. Your SAE power connection is right here. If I can grab it with my glove there we go. And that kind of goes over the things with the Pursuit. Also to note, if you're walking up on your bike and you hit your fob button for your unlock, puddle lights will actually illuminate the motorcycle as well. Something you're not going to be able to see during the day. Hop up on this bad boy. Now all the specifications will be posted in the description below on the 2025 Pursuit. And but pretty low seat height, 6-gallon gas tank. You can see I can flat foot this with a nice bend to my leg here. It is fairly wide and long compared to a Thunderstroke model. And seat cups a little bit differently. Everything's just a little bit different when it comes to the Pursuit. Of course, the fixed fairing is the biggest difference that they have. Turning it on, I will say power band audio is really nice on these. It's very clear. May not be the punchiest of bass or anything. Some people really want to hear that thump and all that. These are motorcycle speakers. They're not very large drivers. They're not going to do that. But when it comes to the rest of the audio and the singing and everything, very clear, you know, that you can get to. And you can actually change it with the equalizer and all that. But because of YouTube copyright, not going to broadcast any music because don't want to strike or anything. Now down here, you do have wired Apple CarPlay on these. The trick is you either get something that can plug in and bypass having a Bluetooth module connected to it, or I should say a Bluetooth headset, you know, where your Cardo or your Senna or whatever's connected along with your phone being hardwired. But your phone needs to be hardwired no matter what, and sometimes you just bypass the requirement for the headset. Some people do that on those, but that's where you plug in at. You also have 12-volt power in the right-hand saddlebag at the top, 12-volt power in the middle of the tour pack as well, which is quick release. So very nice setup on this as well. You also have that storage, and then these guys are also storage as well down in the lowers. You do have some vents down here that you can open up and play with. Same up here in the fairing. You can shut that door. You can kind of see that there. So that's a manual door that you can open up, airflow, close airflow, whatever you need to do. In terms of what we're going to be doing today, I'm going to be putting it in sport mode. And I am going to set up the suspension because the cool thing about these guys is that they are designed with the electric suspension. So you can go in and go into edit weights, put in your weight. The shock will travel to where it needs to for the preload. All is well. Inside the settings in the bike, you can control your rider assist, the sensitivities, the hill hold control, all that good stuff here. But you can also put it on inside the main screen. We'll go through that here in a moment. Cylinder deactivation, if the bike is not loaded hot, it will shut off the rear cylinder to keep you a little bit more comfortable. Passcode unlock is, of course, changing out and putting in a rider passcode over the other, which is the master. You never want to give out that master code because that can't change, but the pin code can be changed to where that you have your own. You can hand that one out and change it any time. Oil life, all that good stuff, it goes through and tells you when it's due in terms of mileage and all that good stuff. Audio, this is where you can do your fading, front, rear, and all that good stuff. Speaker layout, tell you what speakers you have. This is the power band again, so 100 watts per channel, 600 total. And then automatic volume control, radio presets, all that good stuff, and also an equalizer where you can sit there and kind of tune how that sounds between the bass, the mid, and the treble, and kind of get that level for you. Automatic setting on the GPS for your clock and all that good stuff. And then you go into here for your night-day mode. It's honestly how the screen reacts. I'll usually have it on auto. Count is for your Ride Command Plus. Ride Command Plus is a subscription, $99 a year. It has Bike Finder. It has an ability to plan rides from the bike to your account and sync it, and from the account to the bike, you know, vice versa, all that good stuff. Also does health checkup and everything on the bike as well. And that's all part of Ride Command Plus. When you buy a new Indian, you get that for free for a year. But it also does kick off, and it's not required by any means. And then, of course, that's where you can do Bluetooth devices. Speed, all that good stuff is right there. And then you have your main deal that kind of gives you a real quick rundown of how many miles, engine hours, next service, and all that. When you go back to the main screen, you can see Ride Command Plus also includes live traffic, weather, and speed limits. So you will see the green lines there showing the traffic and all that as well. So that is going to be also part of Ride Command Plus. Again, that goes away on its own after about a year of owning an Indian motorcycle. Here is the tailgate warning, blind spot, turning on. You can see the orange lights coming online and the hill hold assist. I'm going to go ahead and turn those on today. And that way I can have all of them on. I don't think I had the hill hold assist the last time. It'll tell you what your fog lamp status is. It also has a little icon up there as well. And it has an icon for hill hold assist when it is active, and it will pop up for you as well. On the right side, you do have your typical power control for the window. Double tapping up or down will take it to the highest point or lowest point in its travel, but you can hold it and just kind of stop it where you want it. Double tap again goes all the way up and or all the way down. Your cruise control is on your right side as well. On cruise control, you press it in, you're going to be in third gear or better, or 25 miles an hour and higher as well. So you got to match those two things, third gear and 25 miles an hour higher. You can set your cruise control by pressing in on it. You get your indicator light to the left, will set it. If you want to hold the resume button and plus, it'll take you up to a speed, like let's say you're going from a 70 zone to an 85 zone or something crazy like that. You hold that, it goes up to 85, you'll release it, and it'll stay there. Same with going lower. Say you're getting out of that zone back to 70, you just lower it back to 70, release it, and it now holds that. Plus or minus 1 if you press it one time. On the left-hand side, you still have the trigger behind there, and that takes you through the main screens as well. So you have the 3 ride screens that you can go ahead and kind of this right side, you can drop these widgets in and out and kind of personalize it for your own. 3 screens to do that with. You also have your ride and all that good stuff. And here is the navigation component. Here is where you can add those map layers, your traffic, weather, speed limits, and all that good stuff from the Ride Command Plus. Now that will show there. To access the menu, the right trigger can actually bring up the menu. The left is always back, but you can press on that as well. Or you could press this button as well, this flap here, and that is also the menu, and that is also how you scroll through, but you can still use this right trigger to forward it and all that good stuff. So that right trigger is more of a forward, the left is back, and that's your menu and select basically right there. And you can still press in on that and select. So you have touchscreen and those two triggers and that flap and kind of a redundant control there. You also have your music. If you have presets or your phone is on there, that's where you skip your tracks and mute and turn it up and down. You have your horn, your turn signals are self-canceling from a stop, and your brights and all that good stuff on the left side. So just like a typical India motorcycle since somewhere around 2019, with the exception of the power button being on the right side, that's not changed for a bit. But a nice overall control package, and you have full control of the motorcycle, and that's what matters. You don't have to take your hands off the handlebars, you just kind of roll with it. Again, I went ahead and put myself into sport mode, so we'll go ahead and take off here. Alrighty. And as we pull away from the dealership, I just want to give a shout out to my sponsors, AGVSportUSA, for providing us with our safety equipment and gear, and that way it keeps us safe and sound while we're on the ride. Quality gear made since 1985, kind of like yours truly. I've been around essentially 40 years now, just like they have been. Also, I want to give a shout out to Law Tigers of Oklahoma, and what they do for us is that they go out there and they raise awareness about motorcycle safety and go out to the community and sponsor many events. But then if we need help, we give them a call and they will fight for us in the courtroom and also answer many questions that we may have in the event of a motorcycle accident. And finally, Doug Crawford and his AMS oil distribution with USA Synthetics. We appreciate him for protecting the internals of our motorcycles with his AMS oil product. Alright, so we're going to start our ride through the middle of the city like we always like to do, and that way we get an idea of how this 940-ish pound motorcycle handles itself in traffic. A lot of times you got to put those feet down and move through traffic a little bit slowly, and sometimes a bike will definitely feel very heavy while doing that, and that is something that you just do not notice on the Pursuit. The Pursuit definitely does not feel as if it weighs over 940 pounds. It feels almost light. And that's insane when it comes down to it. I mean, you can see I'm barely putting any input in on these bars, and the change of direction on this bike is absolutely phenomenal. That is one thing to note about the chassis engineering from Indian Motorcycles. And yes, I know I work for Indian or a dealership, and I sound biased, but I promise you, ride everything you can, and I rode everything you can. From Gold Wings to Victories of old to Harleys of new and old. All big bikes, FJRs, everything you can think of, and this actually feels very nimble on its feet. You know, they talk about the Challenger and the Pursuit being the best handling baggers in touring, and they're not wrong. This is probably one of the best handling touring bikes that there is out there. I would argue that I've been on some possibly a little bit better, but I would need to re-ride them to be sure. But the thing is this bike, the way it handles this broken concrete road and those big holes and all the things that we're bouncing off of today is just stunning. The electric suspension in the rear is the preload and all that. You just set your weight on there. The front is not, adjustable by any means, but it is an inverted fork. So you take away a ton of unsprung weight with the way the fairing is mounted, with the way the forks are done. You also have those two massive Brembo brakes up front, grabbing the front wheel, and nice ABS package and everything. Again, this one with linked brakes as well. We'll test that here momentarily when we get a chance. And it's just a very well put together bike. And it didn't really need more horsepower or anything. And to be real, the 112 isn't as much horsepower gain that you would think, because the stock one, the 108, is 122 horsepower and 128 foot-pounds of torque, whereas this one is essentially 126 horsepower and also around 133 foot-pounds of torque. So you get a little bit more torque and you get a little bit more horsepower. But to be real, it's not necessarily noticeable at first. And by what I mean at first is that this thing takes off exactly like the 108. It's how it's smoothed out at highway speeds, and you know, that kind of riding is where you feel that little bit of difference. Right now I'm in third gear, only at 3,000 RPMs. Our red line is around 6,300 RPMs, so about 1,000 more RPM that it can go through before red line. But the thing is this is a mountain of torque. We're in fifth gear now at 3,000 RPM, 65 miles an hour. Now sixth gear, we are now at about 2,700 RPM at 65 miles an hour, and we are nice and buttery smooth. In terms of looking at the mirrors and everything, sure, you do see a little bit of a jiggle here and there, but it is very smooth, and you can see all the way back and see who's behind you and make out what model of car and everything is on it. So very nice and visible mirrors on there. I don't even see really, especially this one right now. There's my blind spot monitor kicking on. You can see I got two now up at the front as well, because it puts it on the screen. But you can see how fast that reacts, and it actually works rather well for us. But I don't even see my elbow getting in the way of the mirrors, as well as what I was about to mention before those things went off. So really freaking cool. Like I said, you can still see that car coming up behind me basically and setting that off. And what I can do is I can actually cut off some of this airflow, if you can hear it in the microphone, by raising that windshield up and continuing to ride in a more perfect air cushion. Now today is not going to be an amazing test of wind, which is kind of a hilarious thing in Oklahoma, because whenever we only have 10-mile-an-hour winds, this is actually kind of a nice day. Very nice on the weather altogether today too. It's 70 degrees, so not too hot, not too cold. We can definitely feel out what this thing feels like as we go. If it gets hot, if there's a hot spot or anything of that nature as well. Now the seating position on this is a nice upright into the bike kind of feel. The back seat has a bit of a bolster that comes up above the tailbone and holds you in there nice and tight. And then you have, like I said, a pretty decent amount of room in front of you as well. And the legs come out and pretty much straight down to the floorboard with a slight bend forward on each side. But then your hips are aligned with your shoulders, and then your arm drops down to your elbow at a slight angle and then straight out. And it is a very, very comfortable ride. Again, Rabbit Hedgehog is around 6 foot tall, 32-inch inseam, and around 195 pounds. So we do have a little bit of wind that we're going into right now. And like I said, it's not bad at all. Even in the lowest position, I can feel a little bit of buffet on the top of the helmet right now because I'm going straight into the wind. But as soon as I raise that up just about right there, there we go on the end of the buffet right there. So I don't even have to necessarily go that high at all. It just kind of goes up just fine and we're good to go. And we are now riding in a nice, comfortable bubble. I have all those vents open right now, and that way I can get a little bit more wind flow going through. So it's quite nice. The cruise control doesn't get too lagged down or anything when you go up a hill, which is really nice. And again, this bike just beautifully goes over this normally broken road. It just smooth sailing all the way through. The ergonomics and everything in reach is perfect for my hands. You do have an adjustable brake lever. The clutch lever is not adjustable. It is fixed at its point. But you can at least adjust that brake lever wherever you need it. But all the other controls and everything are just perfectly there and easy to get to. Now, in terms of being buffeted by trucks and stuff as you're going by them, because you know you get a little wind wash coming off of them, this bike slices right through. The advantage to having a fixed fairing is that there is no weight on the fork itself. It's into the frame. And any wind that you get does not shimmy the controls by any means. It just slices right through, and it puts all that shimmy into the frame itself, and that way you don't feel it. And it just makes for a nice, pleasant experience when you're on one of these. Now, right now we are, like I said, in 6th gear at 20. We kind of calmed down a little bit to about 2,600 RPM there as we're going down this hill. But whenever you rip it right now, we are in sport mode. As you can see, the bike does not get bogged down. It travels up to speed very quickly and with no need to downshift. If you downshift it, it's even crazier. But you don't have to. It's something that you don't need to do. It just goes right along with what you need to do. It's got power everywhere you need it. Set myself back up on cruise control again, so that way we can just kind of cruise some more. And enjoy the ride. Now, in terms of what the Dark Horse offers versus the Limited, it is literally just going to be your color option on your tins and metals. So this is going to have more of the darker color range, you know, with the exception of this Ghost White here. But it's going to also have the matte finishes. The exhaust is going to be blacked out, fork's going to be blacked out, handlebars is going to be blacked out. So everything's going to be blacked out on this. And the Limited is going to be your more bright paint jobs. It's going to have more of the metallic type paint. And it's also going to have a little bit different, chrome and stuff like that. And different engine look as well, because it will be dressed into a more gray than a more black. So you'll have a little bit different trimmings there. But other than that, everything remains the same. The ride command screen stays the same. The navigation component remains the same. All of that remains the exact same between the Limited and the Dark Horse. It literally is just your color trim and a little bit of the paint trim. Alrighty. Pulling on here, get that head turned, make that turn so nice and planted. And I apologize, folks. I get that I'm from Oklahoma and I do not have the most nice roads. It's going to take me 2 hours to get to a road that has a turn in it, let me tell you. And I don't think I'm going to be allowed to take half my day to do such a thing. But you can tell how a bike turns by going through things of that nature. Now, this is a 6-speed transmission to go along with the 112. And just like all of our big bikes, the only bike that's a 5-speed is the Scout 60. So the Scout 1250 and above will all have 6-speed transmission. It is a nice 6-speed transmission. It clicks in and out of gear really nicely, indexes really well. And you know exactly when you need to shift. You don't even need to kind of think about it. You can kind of feel it out, know what speed you are just by knowing what gear you're in and what the engine tone is. Like I said, very good at indexing both in terms of mechanical and feel. As you can see, we're getting really slow here. It's real nice and balanced right here. We're going about 4 miles an hour, and just light little touches here and there, and the bike just stays right up. It's really nice and easy. Friction zone is roughly around a 2.5 to 3, so in a good spot as well. But it's so nice. I mean, even in sport mode, some people say that might be snatchy on the throttle, but for me, I've gotten very used to it over this time, and I only ride in sport mode, and to me it feels really nicely, and I can work my way around the controls fairly easily. Oh, you just figured out that that lane is completely closed, so there you go. But yeah, I can work my way around the controls fairly easily and nicely, and again, it does not feel the weight that it is. And that's a good thing. That's a great thing. And again, the throttle feeling is really nice on it, and very responsive. In the other modes, rain simply just takes away when top throttle is reached, basically. And so that way you do have to apply a little bit more throttle, but if you go all the way to 100% open, it's going to go to its 100% mark. It just takes a second for it to think about it. That's the only big difference. And then standard mode's kind of the same way. You open it up a little bit, or it's a little faster to open up, but again, it'll get to 100% of its throttle ability, just a little bit longer. And then on the sport mode, that's with that very one-to-one and very, to me, more natural feel. And that's why I put it into sport mode. Now again, I have the wind to my left, and that wind is roughly around 10 miles an hour or so. So you do get a little bit of blowback from the engine in terms of the heat coming off of it. I can feel that on my right leg right now. But it is not even that bad. It's just a warm spot. And right now, cylinder deactivation is on. You'll see a little V-twin with an X through it up here in the corner, and that's because we're unloaded right now. Now, I don't know how hill hold engages. I know that I turned it on, but I don't see that it has kicked in yet. And maybe I'm just doing this wrong. Let me find out here. Okay, there we go. It might actually be on. No, it is not. I released the brake, so I'm not quite getting that on there, but maybe it's because I'm downhill too. I'm not uphill. So I'll have to see if I can find an uphill portion. But I always stop 1 foot on the brake anyway. So just 1 foot down over here. So up or downhill, that's exactly how I stop every time. So I never knew what hill hold assist could do for me. Because, well, I don't probably need it. Because my natural tendency is to stop. Even with a little bit higher winds, I just push the bike a little bit further onto my left leg and hold it. You just get used to it over time. That's it. Alrighty. This is an uphill slope this time, so we're going to stop here. It says hill hold assist. Again, I don't know what I'm doing wrong, so I will have to look into how that actually kicks on. Oh, there it is. I saw it there. Okay. Okay, you got to press the... I just barely hold the brake whenever I'm doing that, and it doesn't allow it to be on. There we go. Okay, so you just got to push your foot into it a little bit more. I put such a light touch to it that it just didn't engage. That's it. So now that I understand that, I got to feel what it does when you go to take off, and the release is not too bad. I did feel a little bit of a grab there for a second. and then as soon as I got moving, it was gone. So not bad at all in the response there. Alright, now we're doing 45 miles an hour in 5th gear. We're a little over 2,000 RPM. Again, I can rip that thing up and it goes right up in speed just fine, so we're still within a good power band for this motorcycle. We are also going down a road that is known to be pretty broken up, as you can see, and that was a pretty good sized bump there, and it's just as stable as you can be. I mean, that is wonderful. The suspension on this bike can handle Oklahoma's awful roads with poise and finesse at that. And that makes it even better. Now that we're heading away from the actual wind, I'm going to put that down and I don't have that buffeting anymore. Give myself a little more power here as we clear that intersection and get a little bit more speed. And now 5th gear, 50 miles an hour, around 2,400 RPM. Cruising right along and just being very happy despite, as you can see, tar snakes and broken road and all the things that we got going on. Now, one thing I do want to mention while riding through here is just how little, again, input that we have here. As you can see, it does not take much at all to get it to do what you want it to do. The bike almost thinks for you whenever you turn it. And it is just so balanced. I mean, you can release your hands and just hold it and it's going to stay there because it's so planted and so stable. The weight is very good road holding weight and works really well. Another thing about it, very nice engine braking. Downshifts are crisp as well, so that is a good thing. And again, now you can see the green light and the fog lamp there. So literally it's just push that back brake a little harder than you're used to for me, and it will kick itself in. There's the release. Like I said, there's a little bit of a drag on it, but not too bad. Now that we're back in motion and we're going up to speed here, we're going to go ahead and say that there's a deer about to cross in front of me, and we're going to go ahead and do this as a panic stop as a new rider, and only the one brake. I got nobody behind me. Here we go. Very, very nice stop. There was a little bit of a chirp in the front tire there until the link brake kicked in and it perfectly modulated its way down. And I mean, I grabbed that thing hard. I did that quite intentionally. And just to see what it would do, the ABS system responded very nicely, got that wheel back where we needed to be, and was completely under control and easy to keep a straight line. We're now going to run that same test with the rear brake. So we're going to call a deer coming out in front of me. There's that little bit of squeak again, as you heard, as that brake is coming into play. And down on the stop. I will say doing it from the front side is a little bit better and faster than the rear, because it takes a little bit more on the modulation from the rear side than it does the front, because the front's far more dangerous, and that's a better biased system, where that the rear is a little bit lighter and the front's a whole lot faster to respond because of what can happen if you lock a front wheel up. But use both brakes, folks. That's what you're supposed to do. But in the event you forget, this bike does have that linked braking, and it works very well. Like to be in fourth gear around town, it feels like. I mean, that's right around the highway speed of 2,700 RPM. Fifth gear, like I said, is much lower, but it's still got that plenty of power band in it. Which is nice. Coming back to a stop here, going to use that engine braking and head back to the shop down I-35 here as well.
And wouldn't you know it, both the field recorder and the GoPro managed to die at the same time. Not from batteries for the field recorder, but heat on that one. GoPro was a battery issue. But I was actually getting ready to wind this up anyway. So when it comes down to the 2025 Pursuit 112 with the RA package, very nice balanced motorcycle. And I'm going to kind of take some words from a friend of mine that had ridden one before. Comes from the sport bike world and jumped on one of these things. And he actually came back and stated, I've never had FOMO in my life before, and now I do. Because he never expected such a large motorcycle to be able to handle this well with this much power and feel kind of like a super sport in a sense is what he said, or maybe even a high-end sport tourer. So very impressed with that, despite coming from never actually riding one before. So that is something from a third-party Suzuki rider, and even ZX14 and some other bikes that they had in the past. And so that tells you, at least, some people notice. But the one thing is, if you're out there riding and you're going to be doing some miles and you want to go out there and just crush them the whole time, look to Zoom Zoom Old Man. Just look him up and see that he put like 145,000 miles on one of these things in 145 days. That's 1,000 miles a day to tell you what this thing can do. And that is a strong testament to the Pursuit and the Pursuit line. Fantastic motorcycle overall. I highly recommend these motorcycles for sure. And like I said, they've become kind of the premier motorcycle for Indian to show off what we can do. So at any rate, this is the Rabbit Hedgehog. And if you have any questions about the 2025 Pursuit 112, please put them in the comments below. And once again, keep that shiny side up, folks, and we'll catch you on the next ride.